What's up, and welcome back once again. So today, I think today is day 5 of learning web development. So today, I think so far we have done two projects. One was for the weather application, and then after that, we were able to build a form where users can fill the data, can fill the form to be able to store that data in Google Sheets. Okay, so today we are starting yet another project idea. So as I said previously, that we are doing these small projects just to learn a little bit of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. We need to equip ourselves, not just me, for those who are actually learning web development. So we need to actually equip ourselves with the basics of web development, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Then once we were able to grasp these ideas, once we're able to understand what web development actually involves, we can actually now shift focus to the more frameworks, the React, the Next.js, and so on, so that once we have our building blocks established appropriately, then I think when we dive deeper into web development using the more advanced frameworks, we will be in a greater position to understand what we are doing. We'll be able to, even if we are going to, which I think most of us actually do, is to incorporate large language models into our workflows. So whenever we actually able to incorporate those models, we'll be in a position to understand what we are doing, what we want to solve, and what is the most effective way to actually solve those problems whenever, because most cases those problems will arise, and you'll be placed in a position, you'll want to be in a position to where you'll want to solve those problems in the correct manner without wasting a lot of time. Okay, so by just telling your chat mode LLMs to actually generate a site, that one is okay. I think it helps you to speed up that process, but you need to be in a position to understand the nitty-gritties of that, so that whatever design the LLM is spitting, you need to be in a position to now fix it. Maybe if you're working the backend, you should be in a position to integrate your backend, the routing systems, and all that. Okay, so that's the reason as to why we're actually building these small projects. So I'm coming from a data science field, and in most cases I've been working on retrieval augmented systems, the RAG systems, and in most cases what I've been doing is data preprocessing, because you are dealing mostly with unprocessed, not unstructured type of data. So in most cases I've been working on such systems, building pipelines for extracting that data, processing that data, embedding that data, storing that such type of data in vector databases. Then from there we are able to retrieve that data for use. Essentially, when you are delving deeper into RAG systems, in most cases what you're building is the knowledge systems. Okay, the effective ways of actually building systems that can retrieve data information and use that information to actually execute a task. Okay, so ChatGPTs, these large language models, they're just I can categorize those as knowledge systems, because they're able to pull data from the web, wherever. Then they're able to use that information to actually answer your responses, or whatever questions that you're asking. Okay, so then from there I tried, even though I've some idea of the backend system, because mostly we're using Python, because I have that, I can understand what I'm doing when it comes to the backend databases, how information is traversing different databases, okay, and how to make those API calls. Then I decided, there's one thing that I also need to kind of understand, and that is to do mostly with the front end side of things. Okay, so that's why I'm trying my best to learn a little bit of front end, understand what is web development, because most of these applications we are building, they are web-based applications. So I need to understand a little bit of the front end, so that whatever information you are preparing or cooking in the back end, if I'm going to work with the front-end engineers also, whatever language they're going to speak, I'm able to be in a position to understand their language and actually deliver when it comes to their request. I'm able to fulfill the request on that. Okay, so that's why I'm wanted to learn a little bit of the front end. Okay, so of the two previous projects that we did, I think we did an amazing work. The first one was the web applications. We learned about something to do with the APIs, how we can call APIs. Okay, then how you can fill a form. And so today we are starting with the personal finance tracker, and this is one of the, I think it's one of the most common small projects that web development actually start on before they tackle the bigger projects. So today we are going to see how we can work with this, build this finance tracker. Okay, so with all that said, let's see how we are going to build this. So as usual, one thing that I like to do is to use this one, so that it becomes a little bit easier for me to just close this one. Then I'll want to open that from using this, because I already have so I'm going to show you what is the end result of what you're going to be building. And then we analyze what you're going to be building, try to break the smaller components, basically starting with the HTML. So we're going to break it into smaller HTML components. Then from there, we start with the building side of things. So today, because of the complexity of this, I think we'll just cover the HTML side of things. Then tomorrow we can incorporate CSS, because CSS for this is quite, I'll say, quite complicated for the newbies. Because I know if you are a legend in the game, CSS for such won't be that a daunting task, but it will be something that you can do easily. But for the newbies, I think it will be quite complicated. Okay, so that's why it needs just a session of its own. But today we're just going to build a bare bone structure using the HTML. So let me unleash my pen. Then we're going to break this down into the small components. Then from there, we are going to see how we can build this from ground up. Okay, so let's start. Okay, I don't know. Let me place it here for the moment. Okay, so let's begin. So the first thing that we have is I can call this as a header, let me try to use another color. Black, I think blue can be, blue will be okay. So let's use now. Blue work. No, blue is the same color as this. Let me try to use black. Okay, now the first thing that we have is the something like a heading. So this is the header that we have. So this is the header. Why is it not wanting to be pitch black? Okay. A little bit of transparency. No, transparency. Yeah, I want it to be total dark black. Okay. So the first thing that we have is the heading. So this is our header. H1, H2, it doesn't matter. Then we have a so let's call this as a, this is our h1. We just, so this one, this is our h1, h2, it doesn't matter. Then we have then we have this, let me use then we have this, maybe let me, yeah, I think this will work. So this, we have this one, let's say, let's call it this like a subtitle, so we can use maybe a lower heading, or let's say a paragraph, but it's a subtitle. Then from there we have this section, it contains the different cards. So we have the different cards. So we have the card on total balance, total income, and the total expense. And then one thing with this card is that they are actually separated from each other. So we can say this one, they are in some form of a grid. So we can close this grid. So this is the one card, this is the second card. Okay, so they are in some form of a grid. Okay, so that's the third component. So we have the cards, and these cards are in the form of a grid. So take note of that. Then we have this container. Let me use a different color. So let me use red. So we have this container. Okay. Again, this container is actually split into two. So we have the bigger container housing all these components, and then we have this container actually split into two. So we have this segment. I think we talked about this previously, some kind of a form. So we have the add transactions. So we have the add transactions. Then we have this particular form here. So we have this form. Okay. Then we have also another type of form. So this one is for the date. You can see we have a form for the date. We have a form drop down menu. So these are, it's a form in terms of a drop down menu. Then for these ones, I think you have to input data. So this we can categorize this as one of, like the previous one, that the previous project that we actually did, where we are just filling a specific form. Okay. Then we have the next, I can call this as a grid again. Then we have the recent transaction. So here, this one signifies that we are going to be displaying our transactions on this side. Then we have this drop down menu, and then some notification message. Okay, right? Then all of this is actually within a background. Okay. Okay. So I think with this, so you can see we have our H1. Then maybe we can call this H2, or you can call it a paragraph, depending on how we can style it. It can be a heading, or it can also be a paragraph. Then we have these cards. So this one, my handwriting can be poor, but so this one, this as a grid. So this one can be a grid. Grid. Then we have the different cards within. So we can take this as a grid. Then we have the different portions of that grid. Then this major container again with the different inputs, different types of inputs. Okay. Then we have another. I forgot. Then we have the button. So this is a sort of button when you click to add the transactions. Okay. So basically that's what we're going to be building today. And today, as I said, you're just going to focus purely on HTML. Then tomorrow CSS. Then the other day we can work on the JavaScript side of things. Okay, so that's probably the plan that we are going to. Undertake on this project. Okay, so having defined defined all this and seen how we are going to build this. Now let's jump. Let's now start the development process. Okay, just no problem. Let me just put that there. Then I just try to squeeze my screen. Then we can yeah, I think that one will be okay. then yeah. So we can start the entire process. So as usual, this is the finance tracker. Then I'll just create the first file. No, suppose yeah. So I just create the first file, which is index.html. So index.html. Yep. So that's the file. So today we're just going to work on the HTML section. So as I'll be building, we'll trying to again use indicate that now we have done this. We'll be going step by step to see how we are adding all this. We are building this with the HTML. So shift. Okay, so this one we are going to give it a name. So this is the personal finance tracker. So this is the personal finance tracker. Okay, so the personal finance tracker. Okay. Then for the CSS, we need to actually link. The CSS, we need to actually link this. So we're going to link rel style sheet. Then for the CSS, I'll just use the style.css. I think that one will work. So essentially, we are passing our CSS so that whenever we render a website, we want it to load the HTML and the CSS at a go. Okay, now we head to the body section and start the entire process. So we are going to start now. We are going to first create a container. So the container that I think will house everything here. So that's what we're going to start with. So then container. So the major container. Okay, so that one. So we're going to start with that. So container, we're going to start with that. So no, it's supposed to be dot container, and we create that div. So for the container, then we start the process. So we are going to start with the header section. So we have personal tracker, and then we have this one. Okay. So I'll start with the header. So I think if you have learned a little bit of HTML, you know of the HTML semantic. Yeah, I think the semantic tags. The semantic tags. I think it's a little bit slow. So, but I think you've learned something to do with the semantic tags. So that's what a header is, one of those semantic tags. Okay, so header. I'll try to expand this. So for the header, then this header will give it a class. Class header. This one I will use h1. So h1 will be personal. So personal finance tracker. I think that one's okay. Then below this, so this is the personal finance tracker. Then below this, I'll use a paragraph and then take control of your finances. So I'll use another class here. So for the class, we're going to say subtitle. Then here we're going to check control of your finances. Okay, so we have so you have the header and the subtitle all within the header tag. Okay, so something to do with semantic tags in HTML. Now we are going to the summary cards. So now we are going to the summary cards. I think that one. Summary cards, the total balance. So summary cards. So we have the total balance. Let me use a different color. Use a pen. Yeah, so then transparency. So the total balance, total income, and the total expense. And then we say that these are within some sort of a grid. So they are within some sort of a grid. Then this grid is with, say, 1 1. So is it 3 1? So we have 3 columns and one row, 3 columns. So that's our grid. So I'm going to create that. And then we can just use another semantic tag, sections. Section. Then for this section, use the class summary. Class summary. Then area label. We are going to use financial summary. Okay, just close this. Financial summary. Then, because we are in this section, we need to create some sort of we'll create this a semantic tag. Then inside this, we're going to create another div. So this div will be total balance cards. Okay, total balance card. Total balance card. Then it will be inside a container. So div container. Then for this div, we're going to add a class. For this class, we're going to say this is the summary card balance. Summary card balance. So that's the container. Okay. Then what is the heading? Total balance. So we're going to use H2. H2, we are going to say this is the total balance. Total balance. Then okay. After H2, we have the this information. So we are going to also represent this information. So we are going to say this one will be inside a paragraph. Then we are going to label this class. So for this class, we are going to say this is the amount. So I'll use class ID. I'll use the class as also the ID. So total balance. Okay. Then I'll add this area live light. Then inside the information that we're going to display, that is 0.00. Okay, so we have closed this. So we have, remember we have 3 of them. So I just copy this and then I'll paste it. So this one will be, leave some space. So that. Okay, so we have the summary card balance. Then we have the summary card set of balance. It's supposed to be income. Summary balance income. Then you have the summary balance total expense. I just use the word expense. So expense, I think that one is okay. Summary card expense. So income, this is expense. So we're just going to edit this information. So instead of total balance, it becomes total income. Then instead of total expense, we are going to balance, we are going to use expense. And then one thing that we can add, so I think this one will remain the same. This one will just remain the same, 0.00. Okay. So I think we are done with this section. Yeah, I think we're done with this. So what I'm going to do, I just clear everything. Then I think we're going to now start on this segment. So we're going to create another, so I'll just close these empty spaces. So we are going to create another class. So this is the main content. Okay. This is the main content with the form as well as the and the transaction. So this is the main content with form and transaction. Okay, so we are going to start working on this section. So again, semantic HTML actually will crop in. But before we start with that, let me open this HTML so that we are able to visualize or see up to this point. What have we done up to this point? Okay, have we built whatever is required of us? Yeah, so you can see we have the personal finance tracker. Take control of your finances, the total balance, total income, and the total expense. So you can see we already have built this, and also this card section and the 3 cards. So you can see income, expense, and the balance. So balance, income, and expense. So let's now shift our focus to the below section, the main section, main content area with the form and the transaction, how we are going to display that information. So we are going to start the transaction section form. So this transaction section form. So we are going to start with this. So as you can see, when you're working with a web dev, if you're able to break your whatever you're building into the small components, then your work becomes a little bit easier, yeah, even faster. Okay, so you're going to start with the main then use a class. So for the class, we are going to use main content. Then for the main content, what do we have? I'll also include another section. So for the section, what are we building in the section? We start with the form transaction. So for this section, I'll introduce another class here. So class, I'll call this form section. Then area label. We'll call this form. The form title. Okay. Then from here we are going to proceed with the now h2. For the heading, I'll use an ID tag. This one you can say the form title. Then we can add this. You can then add transactions. So add transaction. So that's our h2. Okay, then below this we remember we have the form. So we have this, and we also have these forms as well as the button itself. So let's start with the form. So form for adding the new transactions. So this is the form for adding transactions. So let's start with this one. Okay, form for adding the transactions. Okay, so the form, I'll start with the ID form. Just use an ID. Yeah, form for the ID transaction form. So this is the transaction form. Then the input. So create a new div container. So under this div, we're going to use the class. This is the form group. So we're just regurgitating what we did earlier. Then from here we need to provide the label. Label for is the description. Then inside the label, I will have the description. Okay, then for the description, use caps. This for the description. Don't know why. Oops. Okay, so for the description, I'm going to use a span. So span, remember, is used to if you want to style some text or a portion of a text. Class, I'll put a class here. Then is required. Can also use an area label here and state that this is also required. Then for the span, just use this. Like I think it's this symbol here. So you can see we have this symbol. So this some sort of a dot. Okay, so that's what you are actually including. So this is the span. This dot. It's very tiny, but I hope you get it. Okay, so that's the one that will be okay. So that's the label. Then below the label we have the input. So for the input, what I'll do, so input type is text. Input type is text. Then I will have ID description. Then we'll have the name is a description. Yes. Description. What I'll do, I'll just, instead of them being on a single line, I can just make them to be in multiple lines. So name description, then the folder, you can say something like e.g, you can say grocery, shopping, that one's okay, groceries, then required, then you have so you can actually search for this one, the area label. I think I've forgotten. So for the area label, provides a text label for element, that provides a text label for element, especially when there is no visible text, allowing assistive technologies like screen readers and all that. So in case you're wondering why we are using this, so we want the site to be actually for people who cannot, if you're missing text, or if people are using the website readers, for lack of better word, so they're able to interpret the different sections of the website. That's why we're using these labels for that. So for the area required. So here we can say true, and then it's enough. Okay, then after this, just use this another. Then we can add another span. So for the span, I'll add ID description error. Then you can add a class. So the class should be error message. Then the role here should be an alert. Yep. I think you're done with that. Yep, I think we are done with that. So for this input, we are going to replicate the same. So what I'm going to copy from the form group until this point, then add this section div. So we have, so for this one, we have instead of the groceries, we have the amount. So we're just going to change that. So form group remains the same. Label for instead of description, it changes to amount. Then instead of description, this changes to amount. Okay. Then the span remains the same. I think required that remains the same. Then you have the label. Then for the input, we have the type instead of text, a number, amount, figures. Then ID should be similar to that of the label one. So amount. Then for the name, we'll use amount. For the placeholder, just use 0.00. Then this is also required. Then what I will add here is step, say 0.01. So if someone wants to do this in incrementals, then the minimum amount we are going to allow is 0.01. Yep, so the required area label true. Then the span description error. So this one, instead of description, it will be amount. So if someone, let's say, it's at a negative amount, negative $500, so we are going to raise an error, then roll alert. So this one is for the, so you can just add another comment here and say that this one is for the amount input. Then for the amount input, after the amount input, we have the category type and date. Okay. So what I will, so we have the category. Again, for the category, we have how we can handle that scenario. So I just do what I did. Below this div, we have the category. So with the category, we have the form group again, and then these are labeled for the for this category. Then, so one thing that this is a different type of input. So you can see this one is a direct input. You have to enter the value. This one is some sort of, it's an input, but it's a drop-down menu type of input where we have given you some options, and we want you to actually select from these options. So these are the only available options. And I'll say you are constrained in terms of options that you're going to select. So this is a label category. Again, we have the same. IDs for the category, name, required, area. These are just descriptions. Then, because this one here, we are trying to constrain the what can I say? I'm trying to constrain the input that we are receiving. So I'm constraining that input. So what I'm going to do is that we will be giving that in terms of the options. So what options do you have? So you have the option Then the value is the select a category. So then you can see you have several options: salary, freelance, investment, food and drinks, transportation, utilities, entertainment, healthcare, shopping, and other. Okay, so those are the options that you are provided. Then we here we have, it's slightly different. This one is the input, and then this one is for the select. So you select these options, then you provide the select options that are here, then the span for that. Okay, then we have the similar thing happens for the type selection and also the date. So for the type selection, it will be a little bit I think it will be less than this, because for the type we have the income. You only have two options. It's either income or the expense. So income meaning money into your pocket, expense money outside your pocket. Okay, income asset brings in money, expense it's a liability, it draws money which is a resource from your pocket. So that is the give me a minute. So that is the I'll call it what? So that is the that's how we are using. That's how we are labeling that. So you only have two options. The first option is either select value, so select the type, and then the option that you have is the income and the expenses. So there's one thing that we need to note here. So when you look at the first option, the options that you're providing, salary, freelance, and invest. So for the first one, for the value that we are leaving this as empty, so that it picks whatever value we are passing between the tags, okay, between the opening and the closing tags. Okay, so if we insert, if we, let me try to use this. This is one thing that I think I've just realized. So if you use this here, let's see what we are going. So you can see the select category, but it seems that we're already filling the select category, and it's also another select category here. But you don't want the select category to be, you don't want the select, no. I think anyway, I think the idea is, I'm missing the idea behind this, but can just maybe I'll look for that. Okay. So this is the form for the expenses. So for the type of expense, what is the type of expense? It's either an income or an expense. Then you have the date. So also we have a date input that we're going to add below here. So this is the date input. So we have the form group. With the form group, we have the date. So date, I will provide the date. Again, the span remains the same as we have discussed. So the label is for the date. Then the input type is date type, ID date, name. So the name and the name of the label have to be the same. And then these are just for the descriptions. Descriptions for this section within our application. Then I think this one is required. Like this input must be provided. Then we provide the span. Span, just no span can be used to style a small portion of the text. So once we are done with this, then we have to add this button. So I'm going to add the button. So for the button, so we're going to create the button. So for the button, what is the type of the button? The type is submit. We have different types of button. So this one, we're going to click this to submit the details that we have, the input details. So class, for the class, we're going to say bit button. So this will be the button primary. Button primary. Then we just going to provide the area label. So this is the add transaction. Okay, so I'll just break this, then we can add. So we are going to add the transaction. So this is, so we have the button. I think it will just show up. Button, submit, add transaction. So we have the button, and then we are going to just form. So this is the button, then this is the form, then we are closing that with the section. Okay. So once we are done with that section, there is one that we are still. Now we are done. We are done with this. Now let's work on the last section. Let me use a different color. I'll use blue. So we're working with a different section, and that is this one. Let's work on this section again. So this one will be within the main. Yeah, it will be within the main. So I'll create another section. So this is the transaction list section. So what are we going to add here? So section, we're going to add this is the class transaction sections. Transaction section. This is transaction section. So what are we fitting below this? Then this area label is the add transaction. Yep. So what are we going to add below this? No, not add transaction. This is supposed to be transaction section. Transaction sessions. Button form section. Then this is the transaction section, area label. Not a transaction, it's supposed to be transaction title. Then after this, filter a group. So we have to provide, let me see, will it be an ID selector? No. Yep. Yeah, that's it. So class filter group, then provide the label. So what is the label for? Filter type. So filter type, just give me a minute. Okay. Filter type, so that's the label. Don't know if my camera, I think it's working. So the filter type, that's the label. Filter type label. Filter type label is that the filter type. Label for filter type, then add class only. Then we need to there's something I'm missing here. We need to start with the recent transaction. After the title, we need to first create this div. This div will be the class section header. Then I will have our h2. That will be, give it an ID. That will be the transaction title. Transaction title. Then we need to provide recent transaction. And yeah, there isn't this one. Isn't transactions. Then from here, we need to now insert the filter group. We need to insert the filter group here. Let's say a div h2, the filter group, and that's the label for type filter only. Then we need the label, filter transaction by type. So filter and transaction by type. Okay, then from here add the label. You can do the select. For the select, use ID. So ID for this filter type. Then filter type, that is okay. Filter type, I'll use this one. So filter type, then that's the class. Plus we have the filter select. Then we'll have another one here. Area label. This one, filter transactions, supposed to be inside. So here we'll say filter transactions. Okay. Now we need options. So filter transactions. And after this, different. So all transactions, income only, expenses. Then we have the select. Then we have the div. Okay. So because I'm needed somewhere, I will just hurry up this. So I think then we are going to add an ordered list somewhere here. A list of transactions populated by, so this one will be done by JavaScript. So transaction list, then transactions will be dynamically inserted here. So empty status, not at the moment there are no transactions. At the moment there are no transactions. Okay. Then we need to add something small here. Just copy this. Already done. So this is a button that will enable us to clear all button hidden when no transactions. So we will use this button to clear all transactions if we want to clear transactions. Okay. Then from here, I think we'll close it with the section, then the main. Okay. Then we can add this footer. I think you have seen this one. personal finance tracker, blah blah blah, JavaScript. Okay, so I think with this one we have done. I think we have built the entire finance tracker. Yes, the other ones will be these sections. The other ones I think will be populated by when we'll be doing the JavaScript and so on. Okay, so I think at the moment I can say we have done the success bit. Okay, so we have built each and every component in the finance tracker. So that's the bare bones structure using HTML. So tomorrow we are going to start with the CSS. We are going to style these components, organize these components to form this wonderful when I say wonderful or magical or form this application. So that's what we are going to be working on tomorrow. That will be the styling side of things. So the styling. So the colors, okay, all everything. Okay, so the colors, the dynamics of this web application. Okay, so that's what you're going to be tackling tomorrow. Okay, so I think that very much covers what we're going to cover today. I think it has been an encouraging session, considering from where we started up to this point where some things we're able to explain elaborately what they mean, what is their value, why are we using these things. Okay, so I think as we progress, as we go on, we'll be in a better position to understand some bits of web development. Okay, so that's for me, from my side. Again, very grateful for you taking time to join me actually building such a project, and I think you're on a path to having a better understanding of web development. So thank you guys, thank you for your time. If you're new, please consider subscribing, turn on the notification bell, and until next time,